Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a very close look at that split screen in front of you. On the right side of the screen is India's top gun, Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa. On the left side of the screen is the Pakistani Air Force Chief, Mujahid Anwar Khan. Both chiefs are flying fighter aircraft. But can you spot the difference? The Indian chief is captaining the MiG-21 fighter jet, while the Pakistani Air Force chief is sitting in the rear of the cockpit. The Indian air chief is flying that fighter jet. The Pakistani chief is out for a joyride. When you are 62 years old, have 41 years of service and are a few days away from retirement, you have to have a crazy streak to want to fly a 4-decade-old fighter jet yourself. But hey, don't all fighter pilots have a crazy streak in them? Our special guest at the India Today Conclave has a whopping 3,140 hours of flying experience. He was commissioned into the Indian Air Force in June 1978. Like our new hero, Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman, Dhanoa too ejected from a MiG-21 fighter when he was in the cockpit and was back flying in 9 months' time. He led the 17th Squadron, the Golden Arrows, during the Kargil War, and for his bravery and innovative attack plans, he was awarded a Yudh Seva Medal. This is the first time ever a sitting serving chief of the Indian Air Force is joining us at the India Today Conclave, and there couldn't have been a more opportune time, because never before in India's contemporary history has the Air Force been quite as much in the public eye as it has been this year. I want you to join me in welcoming to the India Today Conclave the chairman of the Chief of Staff's Committee, mastermind of the Balakot airstrikes, ace fighter pilot, India's top gun. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear a thunderous round of applause as I introduce, welcome, Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa. Air Chief Marshal, welcome to the India Today Conclave. Under your watch, the Air Force has been more in the public eye than it ever has before. We don't have a cockpit, so you can't take off, unfortunately. But tell us, you know, all the time the limelight, I'm a Fauji Bacha myself, all the time the limelight's on the Indian Army. You know, you've taken the limelight away from the Army and now you have it on the Air Force.
No, it is not like that. You see, the Indian Army is fighting a daily battle in counterinsurgency. It is not that they want to come in the limelight. No, they are in the limelight because they are fighting every day. That is there. And yes, Air Force was called upon to fight, so we fought in that thing. So that particular period of time, who was doing what? And everybody has a role to play. So they have a role, and they are doing it very well. And we were asked to do a role, and I thought we did that also very well.
But what you did was remarkably special, and special because not since 1971 has the Indian Air Force on purpose and deliberately crossed the line of control and delivered such an effective message. When the whole airstrike was being planned, Air Chief Marshal, what was going through your head?
No, it is not like that. It is the Indian Air Force, even after the Parliament attack in December 2001 and after the 26/11, had always said that we are ready and we are ready to go. And actually the decision, the making is on the political leadership. Armed forces are supposed to be ready for the contingency and prepared and trained and equipped to carry out the contingency. It is the political leadership that takes the call and then decide that yes, we should use which arm of the armed forces they are going to use. So that is their call, and I think the risk taking has been, major risk taking has been from their side. So we were always ready.
To what extent do you think things have changed? I remember having a key operational role in 2001, and I want to share with everyone sitting here a small anecdote. This was after Parliament had been attacked, and at that time too, the whole option of using the Air Force as a strike weapon was being assessed. And at that time, some intelligence officer apparently came up to you and gave you a broad description of where the terror launch pad was. And the Air Chief Marshal said, what do you want me to do? I need coordinates. Unless I have coordinates, how do I go in and strike? How do you think
it is not that.
we've changed?
That's the focus of, when human intelligence is given, it has got a particular input, and we need actually targeting information. What is the target, where is it located, what are the coordinates, and what it is made up of, most important, because that is how we select our bombs. So this was, there was a slight disconnect, and I think it goes to the credit of the then chief. It started with Air Chief Marshal Tipnis, that he said, yes, we could be called to do this option, so we need to study it. So initially it was ground intelligence, so आगे की photo, पीछे की photo. So only thing I said, मैं dinner खाने थोड़े जा रहा हूँ. I have to drop a bomb. So please give me the coordinate. But of course, and now you see in the recent operations, the kind of output that came, it was fantastic.
Sir, you're a professional Air Force warrior. There was so much controversy and talk in the media कि मारा नहीं मारा, गिरा नहीं गिरा, सही गिरा, गलत गिरा. What was going through your head when the Air Force had come out and said, we've struck successfully, and you've got politicians of all hues saying, पता नहीं क्या हुआ, गिरा नहीं गिरा, and that became a big issue?
See, we are responsible to the national leadership, and whatever information we have got, we presented to the national leadership. That is our job. And in any mission, whenever you do a strike, there is something known as bomb damage assessment. And so that bomb damage assessment is carried out. Okay, you wanted to hit so many targets, how many have you hit? What have you missed? Which bomb did not go where it is supposed to go? So that kind of analysis is carried out. And then not only that, in your planning process also a lot of redundancies are built up. Okay, nobody says that I need only 2 bombs, and no, it is never done like that. There is something known as over target requirements. The whole thing is built up, and then based on which you build up a package. So a lot of things can happen. If somebody can get intercepted, some aircraft can go down. So end result, you have a look that whether you have achieved your stated political objectives or no. And I think that is exactly what the government want to achieve. We hit a non-military target to tell that terrorist organization that if you perpetrate terrorist attacks in our country, no matter where you are, whether you are in POK or you are sitting in Pakistan proper, we'll come and get you. And I think that is what we did.
The kind of precision ammunition that was used for this attack was of a kind that went into the structure and detonated. After you saw the hullabaloo, ki building to giri nahi, chota sa hi chhed hai, did you think we should have just gone in with a different kind of weapon and decimated the whole building?
At the outset, let me tell you, details over the operation are still classified. They have not been declassified. So I am not going to confirm to you what weapon we have used and things like that. But it is sufficient to say that yes, we did the BDA and we realized that yes, our strike was successful.
When Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartaman's fighter jet went down, and as somebody who'd been part of an ejection yourself, you ejected I think in 1988 from a MiG-21 yourself, what Air Chief Marshal was going through your head at that time?
No, I know Abhinandan from the time he was a child. I knew his father. We did the FIs together. And I knew the family very well. And all that I did is I told, you see in Kargil I lost my flight commander, Ajay Ahuja. He ejected and then after he landed, he was shot. So that was playing on my mind that we must get him back. So when he ejected and I got in touch with his father, I told him, Varta sir, I couldn't get Ahuja back, but definitely we'll get Abhinandan back. And that is a credit to the national leadership that we could get him back in record time.
So you flew with Abhinandan recently. We'll have those images back on our screen. I'm very curious to know, what do fighter pilots talk about when they're flying?
No, it is like this, that I was supposed to do my clearance, I have to return my flying clothing. So all those things, I said I have to come and fly one sortie before I have my uniform. So I decided that okay, I'll fly the sortie, and lucky for me, he had been medically cleared. So I told him, I said the 2 of us will go in a 2-seater, and he's got all his categories back. So he sat in the rear and I sat in the front, and we did the sortie. And
and it also presented, I'm sure everyone sitting here will agree, such a fantastic image of the Indian Air Force, that you've got an officer who's down and the Pakistanis are trying to unnerve him and he's sipping and having chai. That is the swagger of an Indian Air Force job. That's just completely ultimate.
No, his behavior post his capture was exceptional. Let me start with that. If you see first of the few videos, he was blindfolded. He doesn't know. And all of us knew that Ahuja didn't come back. So in spite of all that, his demeanor and his posture and the candidness with which you are speaking speaks very highly of his soldierly abilities. Actually, basically, we are all soldiers first.
So what do you think of the Pak Air Chief Marshal? You are sitting in the front of a
No,
MiG-21. He's got an
his-
F-16. F-16s are easier to fly. He's doing
No,
a
no,
joyride.
I'd say I don't know. I will not comment on that because that is his prerogative, what he wants to do. I don't know which aircraft is he qualified on, why he was. Maybe if I was flying a Su-30, I also would have been in the rear cockpit.
No, but he's an F-16 pilot.
So if he's, I don't know. See, it is not that it is. See, aircraft
You're
flies.
being modest.
No, aircraft flies based on laws of physics. Let's be very frank about it. Aircraft does not know whether it is a male, female, flying officer or air chief marshal inside. Okay. So when you want to fly an aircraft, you have to devote a lot of time. You have to go through your checks, procedures, emergencies. You have to go through a simulator, and somebody has to clear you. Some qualified pilot clears you. I always fly a two-seater when somebody clears me, and then only I fly solo. It is not that I am the chief, so I'll go and fly. No, it's not like. So you have to devote a lot of time. You got to have time if you decide to fly, and if you don't have the time, then I think you can only fly in the rear cockpit.
Two things happened at that time. An Indian strike package went in, we took out terror targets in Balakot, and then there was a counter attack from Pakistan, in which India has been consistently saying an F-16 went down. But so far there's been no evidence. That Dusra pilot that Ghafoor speaks about, what do you think happened to that Dusra pilot?
You see, the evidence, unfortunately, the aircraft that Abhinandan's aircraft did not come back. Normally what happens is we get the film and we get the kill. Like you saw all the Boira, in the 71 war, all the kills that were there, we had gun camera films. These days, it is a beyond visual range combat, so you don't have gun camera films, but you have got films of the multifunction displays. You have got the flight data recorder, which says that okay, when do you press the trigger and things like that. Unfortunately, those things didn't come back to us. But to substantiate our case, one was of course which we presented to the press of the radar picture and track vanishing around the same time when Abhinandan was very close to it. And the second was of course that Indian troops have seen in two different places, two different aircraft coming.
But what do you think about the ethos of an Air Force which has a pilot going down and doesn't have the courage to accept that a man went down? You know, that's almost like treating a soldier like a spy.
No, I don't look at it in isolation. Don't look at it like that. What happened in Kargil? Did they acknowledge after Kargil that it was their soldiers? Did they come and, after first, did they come and take the bodies? Who buried the bodies? The Indian Army with full religious rituals, they buried the bodies on the site. After so many years, the president writes a book and said, no, it was my plan. So next question he needs to answer is, why did you disown your own people? So it has nothing to do with what Pakistan Air Force has done or the Pakistan Army has done. I think it is there in their culture, they always disown.
But how do they so successfully make a body disappear? In India, we can't do anything of the kind. If a plane goes down, if a pilot is dead, there's a family.
We have a far more vibrant press. You chaps grill us too much. And not only that, we are a democracy, we have an audit process. In our case, you can't hide missing aircraft cannot be hidden, we can't do all that.
And you are 170% certain that there is somewhere in Pakistan a grieving family where the boy went down and the country hasn't even acknowledged the death of that son.
I don't know where is the guy and what is it, because I don't have that evidence. Unfortunately, I don't have the evidence on that. But yes, we are 100% sure that another aircraft went down in that sector. And the only our aircraft in that sector was Abhinandan.
So this whole specter of the airstrike also brought alive in public imagination what has been in strategic circles for a long time. The fact that the Indian Air Force has a largely aging fleet. You optimally need 45 squadrons, then the number of squadrons required officially is 42. We are currently sitting at 30, and there also we've got many squadrons are now aging. The whole specter of having a MiG-21 take on an F-16. The F-16 had a missile which could go beyond visual range of 100 kilometers plus, whereas MiG-21 only had a 40-kilometer odd range. Does that bring alive to you the need to step up the speed of modernizing the Air Force?
No. First of all, it's a two-step process. First of all, the aircraft that we are flying has to be made contemporary. That is why we upgraded the MiG-21 BIS into the Bison. We upgraded the Mirage 2000. We upgraded the MiG-29. We upgraded the MiG-27. So, see, the Bison may be a third generation fighter, but it had avionics of a fourth generation fighter. And in a beyond visual range combat, he had the avionics of a fourth generation fighter. May not be as good as Su-30, may not be as good as Su-30, but he had the avionics of the third generation. It was not my aircraft, Type 96, fighting against F-16. And second thing, in the beyond visual range combat, it is situational awareness, the kind of essay you have built up, and the kind of your fusion, data fusion that is taking place in your cockpit, all those things start playing a major role. Our fleet is old, of course our fleet is old. We are maintaining our fleet, that is why we are able to fly an old fleet. We have a plan, the system is that we are supposed to get like the 2 squadrons of Rafale is supposed to come, one more squadron of Su-30 will get erected, then the second squadron of LCA will come in FOC configuration, then we have 83 LCA, 4 more squadrons of LCA will come in. So that will ensure that the drawdown will not let us go below 30. And then after that, we have put an RFI right now, we don't have an AON as yet, of a multi-role fighter aircraft. So there is a plan that yes, in case of a 2-front conflict, to go to 42 squadron. But the question is, with 30, can you fight? What did we do in Gagan Shakti? In Gagan Shakti, the whole exercise in 2018 was aimed at, can we fight with what we have got? Can we shift our forces? Can we optimize? Can we maximize? And that is what we proved. It was actually to answer to ourselves that yes, we can take on an enemy. So,
how much of a game changer is the Rafale as it starts coming in?
Rafale is the game changer that you can say it is a half a generation or something ahead of what both sides have got. In avionics, in weapons, in missiles, your data fusion, in all these things, I have flown that aircraft in France. It is far, far ahead.
And I love the smile he has. It's like a video game that a kid is playing. Like, I like this PlayStation. This PlayStation rocks.
You must understand a person like me who was always say driving a whatever Maruti or something. You put him in a Mercedes, so obviously he'll feel happy.
but we have. Ultimately we'll have only 36 of these Mercedes. Do you think we need more?
No. It is for the government to decide, which is the fighter that is going to come. That is their prerogative. But what I want to tell you is we are upgrading. There is also a plan to upgrade the Su-30. Okay, so the Su-30 avionics and things like that can become better. Like we have upgraded the MiG-29 and we have upgraded the Mirage 2000. So we are going to upgrade the Su-30 also.
Do you believe that past governments have done great disservice to the Air Force and to India's national security by stalling India's military modernization?
That's a political question. I will not answer it.
That's like a missile game, he quickly swerved. He's moved away on the side, which is fine. I respect that. Sir, what do you think of the light combat aircraft? There are, we are bringing in more squadrons of the light combat aircraft. There have been concerns about the DRDO's ability to deliver what the Air Force requires. And there's an ultimate concern that finally, while you need a Mercedes, what we'll have, I don't want to take any auto company's name, but you won't have ultimately the kind of weapons.
No, what I want to tell you is that the LCA as a replacement of a light combat aircraft of the MiG-21 is a better aircraft. I have flown the LCA. I mean, at about 7, 8, 10,000 feet, the fuel consumption that you get in LCA, in a MiG-21, you get it at 33,000 feet. That is the kind of, it's got a fantastic engine, it has got a very good radar, it has got a very good man-machine interface, and the Mark 1A, which comes in with ISA radar and things like that, has got even a better performance. Yes, the program is running behind schedule, and we need to rake up the production, which HAL is doing. They are doing something about it, so that we can start producing 16 aircraft in a year, so that at least one squadron starts coming out. So once that happens, then the LCA will come of age. Whether it is definitely better, if not equal to what the Pakistanis have, the JF-17.
But you're also comparing with the MiG-21.
No, MiG-21, it was supposed to come and replace the MiG-21, okay, earlier. But even now, when you operate in the subcontinent, then in the subcontinent as compared to the fighters that they are inducting, this aircraft is better.
So what's your reading of the current strategic situation in the subcontinent? We've seen Pakistan's Prime Minister, we've seen multiple ministers constantly talk of nuclear war, almost making it seem as if it is inevitable that at some point in time over the next few months that there will be another military confrontation, this time possibly a larger military confrontation.
I don't look at it that way. I look at it, am I ready for a military confrontation? Answer to that is yes. That is for the political leadership to decide how the escalation goes. But am I ready for it? Yes, the Air Force is ready for it. In fact, when I wrote my letter to all the officers when I took over in 2017 in the month of March, I told them, I said, you have to be ready to fight a war in a very short notice. That is exactly, I told you, we exercise the same thing in Gagan Shakti. Are we ready for it? The answer to that is yes, and that is up to, if the other side decides to, I don't think, see, there is some rhetoric that they build up for their own population, to tell their own population that we are doing something about it. That is their local this thing. And their capability, we know what the capability is. It is not a two-front war. That is not an issue.
Do you think that Balakot changes the whole strategic scenario in the subcontinent? Because Pakistan would have never really expected us to go to Balakot and bomb their terror targets over there. They would have thought that there may be some kind of a surgical strike on the ground by another Air Force. This is completely beyond the realm of what their Air Force army expected.
No, you must remember, Pakistan has always underestimated our national leadership. Always. 65 wars underestimated Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. They never expected him to open up the front and go to Lahore. And then they were surprised. They thought he will be fighting only in Kashmir, in Chamjaudiya and things like that. They were surprised. In the Kargil conflict, they were again surprised. They never expected us to pull all our forces, get our boffer guns and get the Air Force into it and take them out. So they have always miscalculated. They have always miscalculated. So even now, after Pulwama happened, I think they had miscalculated, thinking that our political leadership will not permit such a strike. It's not the Air Force is not capable. They know what our capability is. But they always were under the impression that our leadership will not. So they got surprised by the decision of the leadership. And that is exactly why there were nobody anywhere near, at least in 27th we challenged them. In 26th में हमारे पास कोई था ही नहीं, 150 किलोमीटर तक कोई नहीं था.
When the Pakistani Air Force came in the next day, the army says, हमने जैसे गिरा दिया खेत में. We just, we didn't have a target in mind. We just wanted to scare the Indian Air Force and show them that आप रात में आए, हम तो दिन में आए. They say that we came in broad daylight, they came hidden in the darkness. Do you believe the Pak Army and Air Force when it says our mission was only to demonstrate that we could drop bombs in the fields?
No, two things. First of all, you go in at night if you have better technology, as simple as that. Otherwise, you don't go in at night. You got to have all-weather capability. Okay. Gulf War 1. When did the operation start? They all started at night.
Nighttime bomb.
Okay, the person with better technological asymmetry is the person who does it at night. If you are do it during day, then obviously that means you are lacking night capability. And the kind of whatever is floating around in the social media, the imagery that you see, वो पुराने ज़माने का black and white TV होता है ना, जो raster scan जिसमें आ सकता, वो उस तरह की imagery दिख रही है. Nothing. I don't believe that. And it is their statement that we wanted to. But normally, if you want to just indicate something, first of all, the caliber of weapons is low. You always fire lower caliber weapon. Like Israelis do it. They put a door knocker, roof knocker. They put a small bomb to tell the people vacate the building because we know there is an arsenal below and we are going to hit it after that. But the caliber is lower. First of all, the caliber is very heavy. And secondly, many of them fell within the safety distances. If somebody was outside, he could have got killed. So I don't think this is a.
Do you think they missed their target?
No,
do you think that specific target they wanted to hit and they missed?
This is a spin that they have given after they have missed the target.
So you are saying the Pakistani Air Force had specific targets?
See, our air defense had challenged them. Unlike in their case, their air defense had not challenged us. Our air defense had challenged them. That is the difference between the two scenarios.
What does this confrontation demonstrate about the military capabilities of both the Air Force in your view? The Pakistanis claim that because one Indian helicopter went down, because Vartaman went down, that they've come away strong. How do you see it?
You see, they are shifting the narrative to the tactical level. That is not the issue. Issue is, did we achieve our political objectives? Answer to that is yes. Did they achieve their political objectives? Answer to that is no. Otherwise, they always go down to bean counting and things like that. It has happened 71 war, they've taken out a book. They said that no, we had the same attrition level as the attrition rate, not level, attrition rate as the Indian Air Force. So you call that winning? You lost half your country. You are welcome to such a battle again.
Sir, in this fog of war, an Indian helicopter also went down in self-action. What lessons have we learned from that?
There were some people who made mistakes. We have put, first of all, we put measures in place so that such a mistake does not happen. And for the people who are responsible, the law will take its course.
So, how have you seen the Indian Air Force and the Indian military change in the past 4 decades between the time you entered straight out of academy in the Air Force as a young pilot to now?
The world has changed. I used to fly with my heart in my mouth in a MiG-21 thinking that I will not find my base when I come back. And now the kind of systems and the systems that are there in all the aircraft, all aircraft, airfields have got Cat 2 ILS and things like that. It is the world has changed. It is such a pleasure to fly these days, compared to, but yes, that is what we had at that time. But it is also our spectrum has, our spectrum of conflict has changed. And it has gone day, night, 24 hours. And like you said, this was sub-conventional to non-conventional. The whole thing has changed. Over a period of time, we have invested a lot of money in upgrading our technology, in upgrading our airfield systems, and of course, upgrading our training. When we joined, very few aircraft had simulators. Now all aircraft have got simulators. There is a major change that has taken place across all fleets of the Indian Air Force.
One of the other things that's changed is that we now have more and more women in active combat roles in the Indian Air Force. We've got women fighter pilots as well. There are those who would say, oh my God, what if Vartaman was a woman? Then what would have happened? How do you see this whole emergence of women power in the Air Force?
No, Air Force right from the beginning inducted women in all branches. I mean, initially they were in the ground duty branches, then we inducted them into the flying branch. So in our case, women entry was open to all branches. So for us, it was much easier to give them permanent commission, as in when we were told that yes, the ladies have to get permanent commission, it was much easier for us to give them permanent commission. As far as combat missions are concerned, she is a soldier like anybody else. And she trained accordingly. There is no difference. And as far as the aircraft goes, the one in which she is fighting, I told you it is gender neutral. It's like a car. Car ko thodi pata hai male hai ki female hai.
And that's such a strong message also to all the young women who potentially want to join the Air Force. Do you think that, interest in the Air Force is skyrocketed after the Balakot airstrikes? Earlier, you wanted to be a special forces commando, go in and do a surgical strike. Now everybody wants to be Vartaman and Dhanoa.
It's not that. That is how you feel. Everyone always wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Sir, do you think fighter pilots have a bit of a crazy streak in them?
No. Thoda bachpana hota hai.
Kyun hota hai, sir?
How will you fight otherwise? You got to have that streak in you.
Because there are critics in the services and outside who say Vartaman maybe overshot his brief. When he was called back, the lady was calling him back, he had turned around and come back. He got excited, again he went over.
You see, in the heat of battle, to sit in a sofa and decide what a person has done in the heat of the battle is not fair. Okay, at that particular time and that thing, it is Josh, you have a target in front of you, and I think for us to judge right now is not correct. He did what he thought was the best at that particular period of time. And what I am trying to tell you is that not only that, we are encouraging, in our case, is not just the fighter pilot goes and wins the battle. No, we gave fighter controller, the first, I think, lady in the history of the Indian Armed Forces to get a Youth Seva medal. Okay, and what was her role? She was the person who was directing. She was the person who made sure that the people, turned at the minimum abort range so that all their AMRAAMs have missed. Firing their AMRAAMs from D-Max 1. So you have to give her full credit, not only the fighter pilot, no.
And she won a
Youth Seva medal.
Absolutely. So as we conclude this session, last time the Indian Air Force went in and struck in Pakistan deep inside, the Pakistani Air Force was unaware. They didn't even think that this is possible. Next time they'll be ready. If there is any kind of a terror attack, they'll be looking up towards the skies. Do you think we can go in, inflict even more damage or as much damage and come back unscathed?
See, your force packaging, when you do your force packaging, The force packaging is done in such a manner depending on what is the threat and what is the level of readiness on the other side. If it is a total strategic surprise, then you don't have to have such a large force. If we know that he knows, okay, then you have to have a force package which has got other people, the EW people, the jammers and lot of other people will be there. Yes, you know how to meet your objective. We have got a fantastic combination of Sukhoi 30 with the BrahMos, for which they have no answer. Okay, so we have got a lot of things up our sleeves.
You retire in a few days, you're looking forward to retirement?
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to retirement.
Sir, I must say that you have a ton or a missile of gratitude from everyone sitting here in this audience for what you and the Indian Air Force and the Indian military achieved in Balakot, showing the enemy that not just can we make a shallow incursion, we can strike terror deep inside Pakistani territory. For having done that so successfully and for having come back with national honor and pride, Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa and every single Air Force warrior, you have our nation's collective gratitude. We thank you so much for joining us here at the India Today Conclave in Mumbai, and we wish you all the best. And given how much, and how well he speaks, I hope that once he's out of his uniform, you'll be a regular guest on India Today television. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for India's top gun, Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa.